Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special live to do with 1 second after. Spoilers alert. Okay, that is the only one you're getting. There's no disclaimers after that. If you say we've ruined the book for you, that's your own fault from now on. Let me just pop a disclaimer on. It says opinions on that one. That's fine. Welcome to my panel. You saw all the names on the intro there. We have Brian, Scottish Prepper 73. How you doing, Brian?
All good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
I'm always good. Always good. Thank you very much. Barry, brown coat prepper, almost a floating head Holly from Red Dwarf today, but not quite.
Not quite. Maybe next time.
Barry's coming to us live from space. And we have John, the Welsh prepper. How you doing, John?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not so bad. Right. We're here to talk about a book. Exciting. Welcome to Friday Night Book Club. Whatever happened to Friday nights. And there it is. There it is. 1 second after. I can't hold mine up. It's an audio book. But yeah, so we're talking about 1 second after. They're talking about making a movie about it. They'll probably ruin it, as they do. They'll probably Hollywoodize it, as they do. But first of all, I want to ask you all sort of the same question. Brian, why do you think it's a good thing to come on and talk about? We're not a book club. We don't usually do this kind of thing. Why is this book a good thing to come and talk about?
Because, in my humble opinion, it is a very realistic timeline of societal breakdown and a snapshot of human nature in a crisis. It's that simple.
Yeah. Barry, similar sort of feelings. You're happy to come on talking about books?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great introduction to what could happen, basically. I mean, it's the first of a series of books. Yeah, like you say, let's hope they don't mess it up and Hollywoodize it too much.
Oh, they definitely will. I'll still watch it though, you know.
Oh yeah.
John, we only just recommended this book to you not so long ago on a live stream, and you've picked it up and you've power read it like Johnny Five on steroids. Do you think it? I mean, just having that instant opinion, we've known about the book for a long time. Do you think it's worth talking about in regards to the preparedness of it?
Yeah, if you're a beginner prepper or a seasoned prepper, I think there's a lot in there. There's stuff in there for everyone. It really struck me as sort of, for me, as two sides of it. Part of it gave me a lot of confidence that I am doing the right thing and that I have a lot of things in place for some of the events that occur. The thing that really struck me was the sort of the psychological side of things that I just hadn't considered before. There are, you've done the disclaimer, haven't you? There are events in there. There are decisions that need to be made, and I'm sure this will be elaborated on later, that you just hope you never have to contemplate, but might.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And thank you, Andy Walker has become a member of your channel there, I believe, Brian.
Thank you, Andy. Welcome to the Madhouse.
Yeah, I did do a disclaimer. We are talking about a book. If you've not read it, there will be spoilers. It's still worth reading. I've read it 3 times, I think. 3 times, something like that. Right, so we'll start at the very beginning of the premise. So John Matheson is our hero, as it is, our main character, and it's 4 p.m. and suddenly all the power cuts off. Yep, everything shuts off completely. Brian, it's quite a quick introduction. There's not much background into his life and stuff like that, but the shut off of the power is that how you expect people to react, how they react in it? Because most people are just like, oh, yeah, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, because we've got a stable power grid. Even though it's American-centric, modern society, we're used to having reliable power. And on the rare occasion it goes down, in the UK it's an average of 2.5 hours, although it's getting progressively worse. So it's no biggie. If power's went out, it's fine, it'll be back on in a couple hours. So that's what they're used to. So that's what they know. So why panic? There's nothing to panic about, right?
Nothing to panic about. Nothing to panic about. What's the telltale signs, John, that means it's not just a power cut? What do they notice that's different?
Yeah, the main character notices that a lot of things happened at exactly the same time. The phone cut off. All as you find out a little bit later, all the cars stopped. I think his daughter points out all the cars have stopped on the freeway. And there's other things that he notices that all happened at exactly the same time, and he puts it down to coincidence because he, like all of us, he's just not expecting something catastrophic to have happened.
Yeah. Barry, do you think there'll be that sense of denial? Like, even if luckily where it's set, there was no planes in the sky at that very moment, but it's an EMP situation. So
yeah,
I'm on the main run for an airport. So it's going to be raining metal tubes here.
Yeah. I mean, as John said, it's a case of he suddenly notices that a few things have happened all at the same time. That wouldn't, and like you say, he puts some of it down to pure coincidence. And then other people mention things to him as well, and things slowly start to drop into place. And, that's when he starts to realize that maybe the worst nightmare has happened.
Yeah. Yeah. The first immediate problem that this book pointed out to me, just like if we're going chapter by chapter, is you've got multiple cars stranded on a highway. You've got potential hikers and depends where you live, you might have some sort of tourist area there. Suddenly, you've got an instant refugee crisis, Brian, which nobody ever thinks about. They think about their immediate area, but not all the people are going to be stuck because they're not just going to sit in their cars and wait for days on end. They're going to look for refuge, right?
You're saying that, right? In 2010, there was really bad snow up here, and the M80 was gridlocked. Now, I know it's not the same thing because you had adverse weather, but people literally sat in their cars expecting somebody to come and save them. Somebody else's job is to come and make sure I live and I don't die during the night. So, like happy clappers, they just stayed put because the assumption was somebody is going to come and sort this out. So that's not greatly different. That we're conditioned as society that somebody will sort this if there's a problem, and we abdicate all responsibility for disasters to somebody else.
Yeah. Do you think that? Would that be the same if everyone's car randomly shut off? That's a bit more extreme, right? Than weather.
Depends on who's in the cars. If it was you and me, you'd be thinking, "Oh shit, let's get the bag on. We're going walking." And let me flip that. If you then tried to speak to other people in that queue of traffic and told them what was wrong, they would think you're nuts. They would think you're nuts. You would then get abuse for walking away and leaving your car there, and they'd all be talking to one another, and they'd blame these electric cars are shit. There must be a software glitch. We've been cyber attacked or something. It wouldn't be there's been an EMP pulse. But you would be the nutter for walking away and trying to explain what had happened, because it's out with your comfort zone, your normal experience, and again, somebody else's problem to fix it.
Would you try and talk to people, Barry? Would you try and fight the normalcy bias in that situation, or would it just be ruck on your back and off you go, let them argue amongst themselves?
I think I'd try to gain any information that they might know. It's not going to hurt to ask and sort of play dumb initially. But then obviously there is going to come a point where it's like, right, yeah, we've established what it could be. Like Brian says, back on, time to walk.
Yeah. John, if you've picked the perfect location to live as a prepper, everything's wonderful. You've got enough supplies for all your family. Suddenly there's 30 cars broken down looking for refuge on a road nearby, and you're the only thing there. You got to take them in. How would you even deal with that situation? As a town, they instantly were taking people in because that's what you do as good Samaritans. But it wasn't long before they were debating that initial decision.
Yeah, I think obviously it depends on the circumstances. But just to go back to the car thing, I think It depends on the environmental factors. If it's pouring with rain, it's blowing a gale, people are just going to sit in their car. If it's a lovely sunny day, people are going to try and go somewhere else. Just a little thought came into my head is you probably want to use a little bit of deception at this point. If you want to go forward on the road, start by going backwards, cut up into the trees, and then come back down further up. So you don't get a horde of people following you, even just out of curiosity. But going back to your main point about people turning up, it is that dilemma. Do you, as a society, shun people, which they start to do in the book because too many people are turning up? Or do you then start to be a bit more judicious and say, well, if you're a doctor, we'll let you in, but if you've got no skills at all, we're going to make you pass through and we're going to escort you through, and armed escort. And I actually think in the book that's quite a good way of dealing with it, is that you just have to take that hard decision that some people can stay, but some of you have got to go.
Yeah. But there's that took a while to implement.
Yeah.
And the whole center around this is we're not looking at John Matheson as some solo crazy prepper who's surviving all this on his own. It's all about the town planning and the town committee and the current sheriffs and stuff like that.
And it's reluctant leadership.
Yeah, but it's also a factor a lot of people don't think about. Every single prepper is the hero of their own story, but the chances are you're going to have no authority in your township. You're going to have no swing with them people. We're more likely to be the crazy people living up on the hills who've not come down for rations.
I know I'm a volunteer Coast Guard, so whenever I turn up on a shout and I've got my big yellow flashy uniform on and my blue helmet, people just turn to you and expect to be told what to do, and they expect you to solve the problem. And we do, because we're trained to do it, and there's 10 of us turn up at the same time. But I wonder whether that would be the situation where the police would just call out all of the fire service and any uniformed personnel to and get them together and say, right, we need a plan and we need it quick. Because I don't think my town has a plan.
I don't think any of our towns have a plan.
None of them have.
Yeah. Brian, we've talked in the past about situations, and obviously we had the scenario where you ended up the king of the hill and Dave was the underground lord of the layers and stuff like that. But do you just have to sit back and be a good citizen if it's current authorities implementing stuff? Like, we're not John Matheson in this story. We are just Joe Bloggs with his family. And they're the ones putting the rule board out, and they're the ones filling all that in. How do we just conform, go along with that? How does that play out as a prepper? Because we always want to be the hero, but it's not necessarily always the case.
I think that's confusing being a hero with survival. Two different things.
Hero is probably the wrong word. More main character syndrome, you know.
Aye, but you know the thing is with that, like John had said that minute ago, we are conditioned, and we are conditioned, whether we want to accept it or not. Now that works for and against us. In the situation in the book that they're faced with, nobody has a clue. Nobody knows what's going on, so they walk about aimlessly. Now, idle hands are the devil's work. Mm-hmm. When the scamdemic happened at the start, everybody was meeting one another on the street and it was all happy, everything was sunshine and lollipops. But it wasn't before people got fecked off and annoyed. It didn't take long. And the scenario in the book, it didn't take long before the lights are out, the one in a day or two, but nobody knows anything to. Nervousness creeps in, desperation creeps in. So, depending where you live, you might be compelled to follow a plan that might be put upon you, or I would humbly suggest you make your own plan, because as conditioned as we are, people will follow a plan rather than no plan, even if it's a bad idea, right? That's how we're wired. So if you have got at least an inkling of what to do, people will gravitate to that, because it's better than what they're faced with, the uncertainty. We hate uncertainty. We don't like not knowing. We'll get desperate and we'll feel panicked and compelled to do something. The book's an exercise in psychology and how people react under stress. That's what I took out of it as well. So I would suggest that after day 2 or 3, in the absence of a better idea, then you start putting out your ideas, but show why it's a good idea. And then people will gravitate to you as a nucleus, and you can build on that.
Yeah. But I mean, 2 or 3 days is a luxury some people don't have, Barry. You've got an instant crisis when a hospital loses all power and generators don't kick in.
Yeah.
You're automatically going to have a major issue there. And obviously, one of the things in the book centers around a care home.
Yes.
Which we don't think of as hospitals, but are very, very reliant on all the technology they have there and stuff like that. So there's going to be instant crisis there. It probably is something I had in the back of my mind, but never really thought too much about until I read this. What's your thoughts on that?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, in the book, you're only faced with, I think, it's the one care home, and then further on in, there's a military hospital as well, or veterans hospital. Sorry. Here in England, there are so many care homes dotted around everywhere. You know what I mean? I mean, I can think of, from where I am, 5 or 6 easily.
Yeah.
And if those kind of problems encountered in the book were to occur at those kind of establishments, God, it'd be horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
And it's probably even more so. I mean, a single care home in a mountain town. Everyone probably knows a lot of people. There is out of towners as well, but everyone knows a lot of people.
Yeah.
My partner works in care homes, and there's only 1 in 4 carers.
Is that because she lives with you?
Yeah, but I'm training for my future.
No, that's care in the community, Brian.
But only
different.
1 in 4 carers care, right? 75% of them are there to pick up a wage packet, which I'm not faulting them. They're still doing difficult work to get that pay packet. I'm not slating you at all. But when it comes to that situation, how many are going to stay behind, John? How many are going to stay there and care when they've got their own families at home to think about? Thank you very much, Shadow Scout Swede, for 100 sec super sticker. Appreciate that.
I think you just asked me a question now. There is some hard evidence on this from the New Orleans flooding. Over 90% of the uniformed personnel just didn't turn up for duty because they were trying to look after the family. Their number one priority was their wife and kids, or their husband and their kids, and they just didn't show up. And in the subsequent board of inquiry, as we say in the military, they said, "Well, what would you do? I'm not going to look after someone else's mother when I can look after my mother." So I think that's something we would have to expect, and I think the book very accurately portrays as well. First of all, the horror of old people dying when they don't receive the care they should, and then just the ruthlessness of people who want to exploit that situation, like drug addicts who are now going into withdrawal because they haven't had their fix of morphine or whatever they take, and then breaking into the place trying to find stuff. I think it did, unfortunately, quite accurately portray what's likely to happen.
Yeah.
We're still on day 1 here, Brian, but trying to do a direct comparison with this with most of us in the UK is difficult, right? Because it's such a remote place technically, and obviously they've got like Swannanoa down the road and stuff like that, but it's remote compared to a lot of us. Are we talking an order of magnitude worse with stuff like this? It's not going to be 1 of 2 drug addicts looking for a fix. There's going to be, I'm right next to a city. There's got to be more than 1 or 2.
It would be horses for courses, to be honest, mate. It would be different threats for different people, but a lot of common threats. The physical threats would be more dangerous and more urgent the more people there are. So people within population centres, I would dare to suggest people in the suburbs after a couple of days would be worse, as everybody started to bail out of the middle and exit. On the way out, they'd be looking to take things with them or commit other nefarious acts. So, but then again, the risks for somebody staying in Inverness, who's maybe a 2-hour drive from the central belt, their risk will be slightly different. Or even smaller villages out with there, or even in Wales. But there'll be a lot of common threats. But I think if you're staying in a major like urban population centre, it would be worse, way
Yeah.
worse.
Well, I mean, there's two types of threats as well. I would avoid the threat that I was talking to John about, being the only house where a load of cars break down, because they're not going to single out my house in a sea of thousands of houses. Whereas if you were that guy up in Inverness and loads of cars had broke down, they'll be coming to you whether you like it or not. So there is different aspects to it. I mean, don't get me
Sure.
wrong. I agree with you. My plan has gone to bug out for something like this, as you know, it would have to be. But yeah. Anyone got anything else to add about the day one reactions and how that went?
Yeah, just a lot of his behavior, as described in the book, is born out of it's happened before. Oh, last time it happened, a drunk bloke knocked down a telegraph pole or something, you know. So, and that's something as a prepper, I think we can do something about. We can have an immediate action plan when the power goes off. I always get my water bob out into the bath and I start filling up. If the power comes back on 2 minutes later, so be it. I'll just turn the tap off. But that's my immediate action when the power goes off, is to collect fresh water. And if the power comes back on, fine, but it might not.
Yeah.
So I think having a plan for your first 30 minutes in your head or written down that you can refer to. If you like Brian, you're probably going to have to write it down in several places.
No, it's worse than that. My plan's even worse. The first 30 minutes the lights get out, I've usually got the curtains opened and all the lights in the telly on, just so everybody else knows that I've still got power to annoy them.
you might regret that.
Paints this huge target around the front door.
Big glow.
This you would never do in that scenario, obviously, but yeah.
I mean, John's right though. We talk about that scenario. In this scenario, it was a regular day. It was right now. The power goes off right now. No
they don't know
warning.
they're in a situation.
You know, Canadian Prepper didn't tell us this was going to happen, so we weren't ready. So, you know, that's the kind of situation you're in. And you would be like that at first, as the neighbour's power's gone out and stuff like that. When I did my 48-hour thing, I was shocked how much I'd got done and prepped in the first 20 minutes. So literally from going out, I filled the bath, like you say, John, filled other containers. I got the stuff out that I would need to cook later on and stuff like that, and had areas prepped and grabbed all the blankets out. I was literally ready within the first 30 minutes. I was like, oh, what the f do I do now? So
we were shocked that you didn't get shocked, literally.
There was an injury during that, but it was edited out. All right. So
I'm glad you didn't trip on that coffee table with all those sharp implements on it. That'd have been
I did. That's the injury, was the shin on the coffee table when the lights first went out. But yeah, no, you're right, because it's better to react straight away and then be like, oh well, it's not, you know, unplug the bath and put everything away, sort of thing.
It's much easier to de-escalate than it is to escalate.
Yeah.
I mean, in the book, he's still sort of umming and ahhing as to what's happened. He's still carrying on. I mean, he's flipping burgers on the gas grill, etc. You know, and
but it was around that time when he was doing the burgers that it was when he said, "Can you hear?" And there was no noise.
There was no noise. Yeah, that was another penny drop moment. You know, he's now thinking, yeah, this is more serious. You know, and that's when they decide to do, as you did. They all hunker down in one room basically overnight, and you know, if the power comes back in the morning, great. You know, but if not, we'll see what happens. And you know, then we're into day two.
Yeah. Are we into day two? Are we done with day one?
Yep.
Did he go to? He didn't go to the store on day one, did he? It was day two.
Day two, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we're gonna go to day two, kind of two. So we're not gonna do every single day. It's a year-long book. We would be here for a long time. Day two to like 6. This is where we start to be introduced to what's going on elsewhere. And the first thing I want to talk about is what we've always said is cash will hold its immediate value whilst this normalcy bias reigns, because he goes to stock up on cigarettes, and he's way too honest for my liking, Brian. He's way too honest for my liking. Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you think of that? Like they're going to stock up and then literally telling the shopkeeper this money's going to be worthless.
I think if you believe that things are getting that bad, then you don't want to make another enemy, right? You want to make another friend and ally. And given that that friend has the potential stocks that you might want to need, why would you alienate him on day 2, day 3, whatever it is? So, yeah, I think that's a smart call, to be honest. He's he's looking at the future already, probably unconsciously. He's thinking of doing the right thing for the right reason to set the right example.
Would you do that, Barry? Or would you be just like, no, everything's going to be fine, just sell me everything you have?
No, I mean, obviously he goes there and already he's seen sort of a mini aftermath of the influx of people going to the store and pretty much buying up whatever they could do, and the shopkeeper's only left with a few cartons of cigarettes left. So obviously he goes to pull out his card. Sorry, John, cards ain't working. It's cash only. And then, you suddenly think, yeah, okay, well, that's true. And then, as Brian's just said, he suddenly starts to think ahead. Right, okay, people are going to need to barter and stuff like that. And, that's where there's the bit of the conversation with the shopkeeper. He walks away with so much and he tells the shopkeeper to stash everything else and ration it out. Good move. Yeah, I'd go along those lines as well, because like you say, that's another potential ally down the road.
John, we wouldn't have that luxury in our bigger stores. It would possibly be like that in local shops and things like that, but the big stores would just instantly shut all the doors. They wouldn't bother trying cash only or anything, or people walking around with candlelight, would they?
So they tell the government. I wonder whether the sort of it's the next day now, isn't it? So we're probably 18 hours into it. Yeah, they'll probably be closed by that point. There is one example I know of personally up in the Shetland Islands. The co-op stayed open and they had 3 classes of customers. Those that they knew they could give credit to because they'd lived there all their life and all the staff knew them. Mrs. Miggins from the corner. They had people who had cash because they would take cash, and they had people they didn't know and didn't have cash, and they refused to serve them. So for sort of 24 hours, the rural supermarkets might stay open on that basis because it's been done before. But yeah, any large supermarket that we know on an industrial estate, on a commercial industrial estate, is going to be closed by then. I just hit on what Brian said. I think him having that interaction with the shopkeeper, with stash some cigarettes, and ration it and all that sort of thing, I think that establishes the character of him as being a man of integrity, a man of moral standing, a man with influence in his community, a pseudo leader, an elder, even though he hasn't got an official role. And I think that is borne out throughout the book. He has many choices to make, and he tries to make the right one each time based on his integrity as a human being. And I think that's going to be
comes close to making the wrong ones a few times.
Absolutely, yeah, especially when it's very personal. I'm sure we'll come on to that. But yeah, I think people like him will be the key to whether society, a small community, collapses or survives as this one did.
Brian, as a prepper, did he make if he was a prepper, did he make a massive mistake in driving one of the only vehicles that could move into the town?
With hindsight, potentially yes, but based on what he was faced with at the moment, because we've got the benefit of hindsight. From his perspective, he didn't know any better. He didn't know that it might have been smarter to hide that. But then again, the man can only be the man that he is, and he was there to try and problem solve and make sure everybody else was all right, not to go lone wolf prepper and gather things like a squirrel's nuts in his house and look after himself. From the get-go of the book, he was unconsciously building a community.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just how I see it.
What Barry, John, any thoughts on the using the vehicle to go down to that town, and that after he already knew that the cars had been cut off?
I mean, obviously America's a big place and everything's all spaced out all over, for miles and miles and miles. So he probably hadn't got a lot of choice, to be honest, other than to use the car to get down into town, assess the situation really quick.
Nice.
That's the car.
That's the car, yeah.
That's the car.
Yeah, it probably, like Brian's just said, hindsight, yes, probably a bad mistake to use the car, but at this point, he's still trying to figure out what's actually gone on. So it's not until a little bit further on when it's established from several other information sources what actually has happened. So,
yeah.
A thought springs to mind.
Okay.
Let's say he was a bit more aware of the situation at that point than he actually was. So he suspected it was an EMP. Given he stays outside the town in a hilly area, would he put his personal safety at risk walking for hours into town on dirt track roads with everybody else who might be aware? Never mind the local animal life. I don't know.
I think it's also kind of an indicator that this is a small community that everyone knows everyone. He'd probably feel safer doing that. If I was in that kind of environment, I'd drive down and I'd be like, no, stay away from my car. But if I was in like the outskirts of London, would I drive towards or into London with the only working vehicle? Not a chance. You'll be inundated with baseball bats and rocks until somebody took your car off you. And we've seen that on other movies, as it were. I think only watched the other day, the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds one. They didn't last 2 minutes and they're getting dragged out of the car and stuff like that. Yeah. John, any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's already been covered. With the information he had at the time, we can just assume he sort of did a risk assessment. He's an ex-military officer, so he'll have thought, is the risk worth the gain? And he decided yes in that circumstance. As you say, he had the benefit that he was well known in the community. He had natural authority anyway because of his background and the fact he was a professor. So he had the cards stacked in his favour on that occasion. Later in the book, he very nearly loses the vehicle a few times. So
you mentioned his integrity. You mentioned his integrity, though, John, and his first introduction to the female character. She was kind of at risk, and he drove away.
Yeah, because he was weighing up the pros and cons of the situation, and he sided quite correctly, I think, with his young family, his girls and his mother-in-law, I think. So they're always going to come first. But you could, from reading the book, you could tell it was a little bit of a dilemma for him. He wanted to help. He wanted to help her out, and then he saw the trucker that was armed sort of give him a wink and a nod from behind the unruly gang. So he's like, okay, someone else has got this. So I think he made the right choice.
No, I tend to agree. But it was interesting because you get the contrast of both. In the town, Brian, obviously that's when it starts to realize, because obviously when he says the money's going to be worthless, he knows then by that point, whether he says it out loud or not, he knows this is a situation that could be ongoing, which immediately comes with a caveat because of his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to explain that to the people?
So his daughter's diabetic. He recalls reading an article and he pulls it from a shelf in an old dusty book, EMP, something he read at War College, I think it was. So now the jigsaw, it all fits together for him. The cell phone not working, the lights went out, no power, some vehicles working, older ones are working, the till's all been down. So he's had his epiphany. He knows now that shit's got real. And then he must have had the horrible realization as a father, his daughter's going to require refrigerated prescription medication. Mm-hmm. So then he's got a dilemma to try and come to terms with, and he goes into town. And do you want me to keep going, or do you want to?
Well, we can let somebody else jump in if they want to. Who wants to talk us through the pharmacy? Because that is one. John, you mentioned the moral dilemma choices. So do you want to take us through the pharmacy situation?
Yeah, so he goes to the pharmacy, and there's a bit of an altercation starting up with what is described as quite a hefty, aggressive man, and he resolves that situation, should we say, with a beer bottle, so is owed by the pharmacist, who he clearly knows, because they know everyone. Go on, Brian.
See the beer bottle? It's worth mentioning. We need to come back to that later on, because that brings a future problem.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Yeah. So anyway, he then gets to sort of a one-to-one with the pharmacist amongst a sea of people trying to get their medication. So he gets to the front of the queue through doing a good deed, in inverted commas. And then she says, I can't give you all the medication for your daughter. I'll give you a few. And he has that moral dilemma going in his head. Do I just push it to one side and take the lot and be done with it, be damned? Or do I play the good citizen? And he's conflicted with that again, but he does the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I'm trying to remember the order. I think that was a touch later, because Michaela was there then at that time, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
It's just furthering the story that small injury, cutting himself with a bottle, becomes a thing. But we can get to that.
Yeah.
No, explain it now. We don't have to go exactly in order. It's good to realize these things, As
preppers, we need to be aware that the modern trapping society and medical aid might not be there for us. Now, he basically melts this guy on the head with a bottle. When he does that, he cuts his hand. I cut my hand every week, probably same as everybody else. We pick up nicks and cuts. But also, as he's in and out of the care, as he's in and out of the care home later on after cutting his hand, he's exposed to lots of dead bodies. There's a try to clear it out and different things. So he picks up a nasty infection that almost killed the guy. Whereas in society now, if you had a small cut that became infected and red and sore, you go to the GP, you might get a referral to the hospital if need be, you might even get IV antibiotics. But a small injury like that goes bad, 9 times out of 10 at the moment you'll survive. A small injury, when shit's hit the fan, a small cut could kill you if you don't have the right kit and training to get you through that just a small cut. Yeah. So that was something that was illuminating as well.
Yeah. Back to the grocery shop, Barry.
Can I just say, follow from Brian, what's really important for us as preppers is to take the right action early on. He ignored it. He didn't cover it up properly, didn't wash it out properly like he was told to, and all that sort of stuff. So doing the right thing, washing it out early on, antiseptic wipe or even a splash of vodka, and wrapping up properly, and then acknowledging your limitations whilst it heals is absolutely crucial.
I think we've all been guilty of it. I mean, I know I have. I've cut my hand doing something on the car or something like that, and I've not gone and washed it all out properly and stuff like that. I've just been wiping it on my jeans until it stopped bleeding, as you carry on working.
But age is a factor as well. When I was a young apprentice, I would cut my hands on a daily basis with Jubilee clips, razor sharp cable ties or whatever. And at best, my mucky hands, I would get some black insulating tape. I might wrap it round the gash, but see, after about 2 or 3 days, it's healed. I've got no infection, never ever got one. As you get older, that small cut that healed in 2 or 3 days can take 2 or 3 weeks, and the risk of infection is so much higher. So age is a factor in it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, it was extenuating circumstances, him putting himself in an environment where disease was rife,
Yeah.
Back to the grocery store, Barry. Didn't take long for people to start the panic stations and go from regular order to clearing it out overnight, pretty much. It's, did they mention in the book that they took too long to put authority down?
Yeah.
To confiscate stuff and things like that. Do you think that would be the case as well? Do you think how embedded in reality do you think that would be? We saw fighting over water in 3 hours in Spain,
Yeah. Well, this is it. I literally think because this happened sort of like late evening, everybody's realization didn't really kick in until very late at night, early in the morning, and that's when sort of all the stores got hit. As you say, John's gone into town. He's gone to the pharmacy to try and get the meds. He's then gone to stores to try and get other supplies, etc. And he's basically found the shelves wiped out, absolutely clean.
He walked in over broken glass, kind of.
Yeah, he's walking over broken glass, smashed food. Because the freezers have gone, everything's starting to defrost. Because it's the time of year as well, everything's already starting to decay, and you've got flies going all over the place. The heat's unbearable, the smell as well. And he just grabs what he possibly can, like salt, dog biscuits, a couple of other bits and pieces. Because that's sort of like, maybe, I don't know, it's just like one lone store in the town where he is. But I mean, obviously, we're a much more compact environment here. There's a lot more shops. I don't think it'll hit us quite as fast, but I still think 48 hours. And like you say, with the situation with the water in Spain, I think 48 hours things could start to get nasty over here like that.
Yeah. It was surprising the speed of the escalation in the book, I would say. I'm going to jump about. By all means, jump in if you have points in between what I'm saying. I've only got so many notes, but the first execution takes place within them first 6 days.
Yeah, they went for it, didn't they? I was surprised at that. It was for looting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was for stealing medication.
A couple of teenagers.
Care home.
Yeah. John, do you think that's shock factor to sell a book, or do you think rooted in any sort of truth?
I can see both sides of it. I personally thought, oh, that was a bit severe for first offence from a couple of teenagers. Maybe lock them up for a few days and get them a bit hungry, but and then say don't do it again, and then warn people that the next serious offence against the community, as it were, might lead to your execution. That would have been my preferred method if I found myself in that situation. But also, I do know from my own military experiences, you got to set the example early on. Not that I've executed anyone, but you set the example that someone gets it early doors, and then everyone else goes, "Whoa, okay, I'm not doing that."
I think you hit the nail on the head, John.
Yeah.
You set your example.
You don't find it a bit extreme? One of the lads is quite young as well, and an ex-student of John's. John the character, not John the Welsh.
That's another moral dilemma that he has to face, isn't it? But I mean, he does get duly elected, through kind of his own fault by saying, well, look, you can't do it because you're a government official. You can't do it because you're police or whatever. Nobody official can do it. It's got to be somebody who's duly appointed. And that's when they all sort of go, yeah, you're going to do it. And he has to, and it's like, right, okay. But I mean, the emotions that he goes through up until the moment where he pulls that trigger, you can see he's really struggling with what to do. I think that's actually quite a good point in the book, for right. At what point do you take that next step? How far can you be pushed? How far are you willing to go?
I mean, let's briefly step away from this a second. Channel 4 did that blackout thing. And just when the guy got pushed over the edge to take somebody out in a supermarket to get the stuff, all the lights came back on.
Yeah.
All the CCTV came back on. That's why I thought it might be too early, Brian.
It depends how he's rationalised it and how much he knows. If you've got a grid down event for 6 days in the UK, the chances of that coming back on within 6 weeks are not great. because all the people and all the arterial roads that are all blocked. So the techs, the transformers and everything to make it fire back up again, they ain't there. And unless you're going to go door to door because you've got no comms anymore and try and literally drag those people away from the families to try and get the power back on, and the same with the factories and storerooms for the transformers and switchgear and everything else, assuming it's not been melted, and assuming you can get through the clogged roads to get there, every task will take 10 to 20 times longer, if it's even possible. If they don't get eaten on the way in the roads and robbed and cut up, shot, executed, try to do it. So he might be thinking and doing the mental arithmetic in his head and going, 6 days with no power, this is going to be a long time gig. But apart from that, their actions could potentially have killed other people and starved to death.
Yeah.
Right? And monkey see, monkey do. If you've got a supermarket and things are shit's hitting the fan, it only takes one person to grab a trolley load of shit and they'll pay for it before everybody else starts to do the same thing. So if he hadn't done something at the start and sorted out the looting, how long do you think it would be before everybody else starts to do the same?
They're doing that in peace times now without a fucking blackout.
Yeah.
We're going to need a lot of shells then. But I think, but the thing is that you made a good point there. There's no deterrent in peacetime.
Mhm.
If you break into somebody's house when you can't get any more food supplies in, and you take literally food from their mouth or their family's mouth or the community's mouth, and the penalty is going to be death, right? Not telling the security guard at your local Sainsbury's to fuck off as you walk out the door brazen because you know nothing's going to happen to you. Two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he had to do it.
So let's switch that to the UK. We're not an armed populace as such. It could be a small town where there's no gun owners, essentially. How does that play out there? I mean, are you going to see would you see a similar sort of thing? Is it lynching? Is it what? How does that even play out over here?
I think you'd have to do it. I genuinely think you would have to do it, because if you're trying to build a community that's going to revolve on trust and communal working and everybody pulling together for the greater good so you don't all die or break up into little parties and get taken out, if somebody's doing that, you've got to set a line in the sand hard and fast, otherwise it'll fall to bits within the first week. I know that sounds really hard and callous, and sitting here with the heating on and the lights on, it's easy to make these grandiose statements, and God forbid we never need to face it. But I think in that situation, you would be compelled to act.
I think that's one of the best things about the book, like John mentioned before. We can sit here and prep all day long, and we can, watch movies in Hollywood and say, that's how I would do it. Or you could sit here going, yeah, I'd just do this, that, and the other. The moral choices are easy when they're theoretical, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Nursing home. So,
all right, I've got a few wrinkles. It's a bit harsh. Surely I've got a few years yet. God, you're so nasty tonight.
They just come in white coats and take him away.
It's bedtime for Brian, is it? Cheers, buddy.
So, yeah, one of the book's most tragic moments occurs early on. Without power for oxygen machines and stuff like that, specialized medical equipment, they start dropping like flies. And the normalcy bias we see there is under experienced staff in any sort of tragic situation going, well, usually the coroner's here the same day, within an hour. We don't know what to do. So, I mean,
rabbits in the headlight.
Yeah. And you had one person that was half competent that was practically having a nervous breakdown because she was trying to run all this thing. Barry, you mentioned how many care homes we've got.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that sit with you? How did that resonate with you in any way? Are we going to have to go and rescue Brian from the care home before
let him rot.
Comes the disease?
Bastards.
I'll go and help rescue Brian so he can take his gold teeth out with some pliers.
Yeah.
Mate, the amount of Pepsi I drink, my teeth are worth fuck all.
I'd fleece him for his keys so he can go and help himself to his preps.
Yes. We got
Anyway.
you back, Brian.
Yeah, it's good to have friends, mate. It's good to have friends.
Getting that warm, fuzzy feeling right there. Bastards.
Barry's going
Yeah,
through your pockets and I'm pulling your teeth out with pliers.
I'm not dead yet. It'd be like Step Brothers when I'm in the hole and he's putting the dirt on.
Yeah. Right. We laugh, but it's the tragic moment of the book. We should be crying. One of many. Yeah, Barry, how do you see that playing out over here? Similar sort of situations, but it's a difficult one. Again, we're only 6 days in, remember?
Yeah. Like I say, in the book, a lot of the high-tech medical equipment, it all fails. So like the food pumps fail, the insulin pumps fail, the air conditioning fails. It's a very hot season. You know, all the windows are only slightly open. It's actually hotter indoors than it is outdoors. You've had people who've committed suicide. You've had people who've had heart attacks because of the medication they're not receiving through the electronic pumps has failed. They've died. Some people have taken their own lives. You know, it's like I said, the carers as well. You know, some have gone to go and assist their families and said they're going to come back. They never do. You've got staff probably now working there 24, 48 hours. The ones that really care, the ones that are still trying to hold it all together.
Never do's one statement, not able to is another. With no vehicles.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it will fall apart. It will fall apart. It will get messy and it will be brutal, unfortunately. We have a very aging population in this country as well. So I'm not looking at you,
right
Brian.
here.
You're okay. I'm not looking at you, Brian. You're okay.
Yeah. Just want to put that up from Fairweather Motorcyclists. The first time you experience contact in a conflict zone, the brain fog 99% of people experience hits like a tsunami. Your reaction is in that oh fuck moment is the difference between life and death. And there you go.
Yeah, agree.
It's a great point. That's why I wanted to just pull that up. Yeah. John, is this another way to sell a book? Surely in 6 days, Granny's still going to be getting plenty of tapioca. What's going on?
I'm quite cold-hearted about this. If I apply logic,
He's just going to nail the door.
He's going to die anyway. Why are we risking going into that nursing home where there could and I'm not joking here, there could be some mentally ill people walking around with kitchen knives because there's no one stopping them doing it anymore. Why am I risking my life for someone I know is going to die in a few days anyway? Tragic as it is, if it was my mum, would I think differently? Probably, but in this terms of this book, it's a massive risk.
The outside looking in is easy. It's when you've got that emotional involvement with it, right?
Yeah. It's community triage. You're literally cutting off a limb to save the body.
Yeah.
And you again, if you do your dynamic risk assessment, you can't help but try and weigh up logic against emotion. And in that case, emotion won because he decided to go and get him. Logic should have really won, really, because he knew he was going to die soon anyway, and the environment he was putting himself in was just fraught with hazards.
Did he know? Did he know how bad it would be till he got there?
Good point. Maybe not.
I don't think he did.
No,
I don't think I would. At 6 days in, I don't think I would. The thing is, we know about a just-in-time system when it comes to our supermarkets. We've seen it firsthand with like COVID and stuff like that. But when we realize just-in-time is also medications and medical supplies for care homes and stuff like that, and they're getting deliveries on daily and every couple of days basis.
Yeah.
6 days is a long time to go without life-saving medication.
Yeah.
Yeah, my local pharmacy doesn't hold much at all. It's you have to give 3 days notice that you want to repeat prescription because it gets delivered the morning that you need it. So they hold minimal stock, and I imagine a lot of pharmacies around the country are like that.
Yeah, the one near us, you'll go for 3 things and you'll get one and have to come back the day after or the day after or the day after kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian, anything to add on the care home situation?
No, but apparently going by use to I'll be in it fairly soon, you sure as shit.
We'll come visit, Brian, to get your teeth.
We'll bring you grapes.
Yay! But see, the perception is that most people will visit dear old granny after a week anyway, and they wouldn't see a great deterioration in that week's period. However, in the 6 days that they're talking about there, no air conditioning, no bed being flipped, no food, no sanitation, I didn't even bear thinking about walking into that, where it's just horror show.
It's a very strange situation. The normalcy bias is a big thing in all of this. And Barry mentioned that, one of the older residents saw and knew what was going to happen, so took it upon herself to end that. 2 to 6 days, though. Do we not think that this was most people's normalcy bias would be, oh, it'll be on in a week? I mean, what we've had the power out for 10 days after Storm Ewing over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there was radio links. There wasn't the absence of information. If you're talking about a total absence of information, people make up their own thing in their own mind, and that isn't long before it's fear the worst. If you've got a bad storm in the UK, and I mean we've had them, some people, maybe a couple of thousand people on occasion, have been left with no power for 2 weeks, but there's still radio, there's still information getting out there to say go to your local church hall. There's generators in them, different things. There's provision in place, albeit it's not ideal. 6 days, you're talking first 3 days without any water, elderly, infirm, and you're faced with the prospect of watching you go down after watching old Mrs. Miggins next to you in the bed has just died of dehydration and shut her brains out. I'm not surprised they topped themselves, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go and rescue you, Brian. You'll have already sorted it out.
Day one with no Pepsi, mate. I've got the morphine driver in my arm by that point. Can I bring one up? Just a thing that sprung to mind.
Yeah.
See, when they were corrupt, they were at the stage that they're filtering people through town by the motorway.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Right. There was one woman in it, and they were filtering people with skill sets. Everybody else was getting moved along. And this struck out my mind about skills that are no use anymore. And it was
she
educated
was a expert,
yes.
Basically. Yeah, she was a public relations expert who would like rebrand your image and things like that. Yeah.
So she could talk. She was well educated, power dressed, all the makeup done, and all the rest of it. But it'd been several days.
To hooker in 0.3 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because once the veneer of your skill set was taken away and people didn't value you anymore, she reverted to, I'll do anything to get in. I haven't eaten and I've had no food and water. That just shows at some point in that situation.
This is where Brian's community fails. Because he won't turn that down for soup.
Listen, Mrs. SP, I know you're watching this. I would have given the lady the ration pack with no fear or favour. So I'm an upstanding person.
Okay.
Yeah. Why are you laughing?
Keep telling yourself that, Brian. You keep telling yourself that.
Sitting at the side of the barricade with the 24-hour rat pack. Hey, come on. But no, kidding aside, it was quite grim. It was really grim.
And it's interesting the target as well, because we talk about skill sets and what's valuable in SHTF, and we go straight to doctor, and we go straight to you know, a tradesman, like a builder or
Mechanic.
something like that.
Yeah.
Farmer.
Mechanics, yeah. But what did they mention? I'd love to get a steam enthusiast, somebody that's really good
Yes.
with steam engines.
Yeah,
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one was reenactors.
Yeah.
What I liked was he's part of a roundtable reenacting society. That's what I did, American Civil War. And it is all about gunpowder and old school technology and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you could be an accountant or a web developer and have no skills on the surface to show a CV. But then I've lived like I've been in the 1860s for many, many months of a year. So
We know we've
there's
seen
a
the
skill
size of your
set there.
family. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
And that's the only one's collar I didn't get. Terrible, Barry. No, but yeah, it's right, because skill sets, we think of these individual skill sets, but there's so many others. What we're doing now, what everyone in this chat has got, is probably a skill set based around preparedness and stuff like that, and any kind of things related to that. So yeah, skills pay the bills, right? Right. Anything else in that first week I'm missing?
I think we're all good.
Yeah, I think we're good. Yep.
We're good. Well, we do get introduced to the college, which is an interesting situation, especially in the States, because you've got people that go to college that don't live in that town, that parents aren't there and stuff like that. So that becomes a home to a lot of students, essentially a start of a militia as well.
Yeah, it's a barracks, isn't it?
You've got to love a college that's got a colonel as one teacher and a sergeant as
Yeah, so was he staff sergeant or something in the Marines?
yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So he goes up to this when he goes back at that point to that college, they're already drilling like it's that. He's already got them out doing drills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We want to avoid the word militia like the plague, all right, on this channel, because we're not that type of prepper network, all right?
Volunteers. Should we say volunteers? Volunteers.
I suppose what I'm asking is, within a week, again, is this something that you'd find a necessity of?
Yeah.
You're instantly talking about defense on a massive scale, not talking about defending your family or just your home or just your entrance. You're talking about essentially your own little home guard going on.
Right.
But I think you'd have to, though. I mean, if you've got finite resources, nobody's coming to save you. Every mouthful of food that you've gathered or you've got stocked could be your last. So you have to guard that, because everybody else that's got feck all is going to be coming to take it. At this point where there's nothing else in the shops, they're desperate. They're coming to take yours. So if you're not guarding it, you're losing it, and potentially you're losing your life.
How quick do you see that city migration?
Haven't they got wind of this forced migration from the next town down? Yes, they've been told they've got to take 5,000 refugees, haven't they?
That's late on, though.
Is that later on?
I think that's a bit after, but yeah. I mean, we can still talk about it. You're right. I mean, I don't foresee the forced migration over here. I don't think anybody would hold the authority within our cities to do that, and people wouldn't listen anyway. But the natural migration of people leaving built-up areas.
Yeah.
How long do we think that would take, John? As your role of what you do day to day, it must have been thought about at some point.
Yeah. So the central plan would be to take the food to the population. So the government does have plans in place for the emergency provision of food in city centres. So they are trying to keep the population in place, because the home is actually the best place for you to be. It's the most familiar environment. You know where everything is. Having hundreds of thousands of people trying to live under tarpaulins on Loch Lomond because they've all left Glasgow isn't ideal. So keeping them in the cities is the first priority for the government, and taking food to them. And that is a really good way to control a population, is to say, we're only handing food out in St. George's Square or wherever.
Yeah.
So we'll keep them there. In the absence of government aid, I imagine it would not take very long. Most people have 3 days worth of something in their house.
Yeah.
You know, black olives and instant coffee. Not a great meal, but you can eat it. You know, so I would imagine it probably would take a good 5 or 6 days in the absence of any government aid for people to start fanning out looking for food.
Mm-hmm. And do you see that search for food, Ryan? Obviously, there's this illusion for people who have lived in the city all their lives that there's an abundance of food out there in the countryside, and you can just walk along and pick up fresh Big Macs out the field. Yeah. But it's not always the case. Do you think?
Yeah, plus they're all going to. Sorry, mate. On you go.
Well, do you think that search would initially involve civil unrest? Somebody's literally just put in there, I have a food garden and trees that produce legumes and backyard chickens. Now, if you're the starving family either side of this house, are you going to start to go out to the country, or are you going to target your neighbour first?
The neighbour that you've been at their kids' birthday parties for the last 10, 15 years, that you've been talking over the fence about the football. Yeah, when their kids are starving and you've got stuff and you're either not sharing it or not able to share it, that good friend will become your worst enemy in a very short space of time.
Yeah, agreed.
In my humble opinion.
And even from the other perspective, as a father, if my kids were starving and you had the food and we'd been friends for 6-7 years and all that lot, I'd probably, the priority for me is my kids are starving.
Your children.
Yeah.
All 37 of them are going to be hungry.
Well, they can eat each other. It's fine.
I used to teach motivation, and in my personal opinion, one of the greatest motivators is parental love, the love of a parent for its child. But there's dozens of cases where a parent has literally died to save their child, and they will have no qualms beating you over the head with something to get your food if their child is dying. So I absolutely agree with Brian. You may have known them for 20 years, but if their child is starving to death, as they will be as well, they'll go for it.
Think about this with the towns as well. About, see, we were saying about 5 to 6 days. I don't disagree with that. We've always kind of thought it would be like 3 days, but the reason I'm saying the 3 day versus 5 to 6, and I'm probably wrong, but say it's this time of year and it's cold. Yeah. People do stupid shit at the best of times. You'll have fires in a very short space of time.
Yeah.
You'll have blocked up toilets and sanitation.
That metal bin.
Yeah. You'll have sanitation problems in a very short space of time. If you've got a 16-story block of flats, and there's plenty of them in city centres, and everybody's shitting from top to bottom, right? You're going to have a big sewage problem in a very short space of time. You might want to wait 5 or 6 days before you go out into the countryside because you've nothing else there to do or eat. Or I think infrastructure might force you to do that, as in you're being burnt out or shit out before that in a city centre. Something to think about.
Yeah. Always, if you're going to go for a flat, go for the top floor.
I don't know the exact figures, but I think it was something in the region of 80 to 90 people died during the Texas ice storm in 2021 from carbon monoxide poisoning because they lit fires in their homes.
I could believe that.
Yeah,
it was dozens.
Ventilation. This is the thing. It's we've got this thing, right? We stop drafts. It's a bit warmer, right? Now we've stopped all the drafts. Now we'll light a fire. So zero circulation of air anywhere. So it's just, if it's really cold, have a fire outside. Go out and get a warm by the fire, then come back in. That's going to be the way. The migration out to the country and stuff like that, Barry, do you think that'll be a factor over here? Or do you think it won't be because we're such a tight population, it's never going to be a case of I can just go out to the remote areas and survive, right?
I think along the timeline it will happen because, as John said, yes, government might have in place plans to keep population centered where they can with food distribution points, etc. But at what point does that food run out? At what point does the food in your cupboards run out? Your neighbour's food runs out. What's going to happen next? People are going to gravitate out to the country at some point, and it's not going to be pretty. You're going to have as many deaths out there in the country as you have in the cities, because people are going to starve to death because they're not going to know how to trap, how to fish, what are the safe berries and mushrooms, etc., to eat, and what aren't. Yeah, there'll be a slow but sure die-off as people migrate out looking for food.
And just to pick up what Barry said later in the book, he talks about how this massive countryside, hundreds of thousands of acres of countryside around this tiny little town, and it's been picked clean of anything.
Yeah.
Of everything.
Yeah.
So can you imagine the population of Glasgow going up into the Loch Lomond forest? It's going to be picked clean. Anything that moves is going to get killed.
There'd just be a sea of Buckfast bottles and dead squirrels.
Squirrels don't drink Buckfast, do they?
They're just sweetening it up. You'd have some random drunk guy sitting next to a squirrel, drinking a bottle of Bucky, and then offering something to the squirrel, telling him its life story. His mother didn't love him, and life is hard, and he's getting his dole check, and yeah.
And then the drunk answers the squirrel.
Well, we've talked about stuff like this before, and I believe, was it 1990, Brian? 90% in 90 days was the...
But they reckon there's been various studies done on it. The one that I kind of agreed with the most, that I liked, was 90 and 90. 90% of the population would be in 90 days. That sounds really, really extreme. But think about it. You've got no water, sanitation, no shelter, human predation. I don't think that's an unrealistic figure. I genuinely don't, as scary as it is.
And when the slightest nick to your hand could do something like that, and there's no antibiotics and everything else, it's easily done. They have, obviously we get towards like week 2 and 4, and they have the great die-off, as it were. Yeah. So around day 14, the town's supply of refrigerated insulin begins to fail. John watches helplessly as children and neighbors slip into, diabetic comas and death. With him having a bit of an extra supply, albeit starting to lose its shelf life because of warmth. Should have had an EcoFlow, Brian, right?
Or two.
The great die-off's not just that. It's sewers, it's water treatment, it's typhoid, it's cholera, it's stuff that we don't even think about these days, but things that would have took out masses of people back in the day. And then, of course, food rationing comes into place. So this great die-off period is edging towards that 90 and 90. I can't remember the figures they said. I'm sure it was after about 3 weeks, it was about 2,000 or 3,000 of a population of 12,000 or something. I think they said it's about 30% they were at that stage.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
I don't think you're far off it.
Yeah. Anybody want to talk about everyone dying?
Think about it, though. You're in a first world country with first world support, right? With first world skills. Overnight like that, you're in a third world country with no fucking skills. If you were born and bred in a country with no infrastructure, that you knew where to find water, albeit maybe polluted, you knew how to forage for food, you've got this much of a chance, right? If you've been playing Call of Duty since you were 7 and your biggest problem is running out of bread till you go to the shop the next day, your chances are that pretty much gone. So if you go from first world to third world, you're bollocksed. Without skills, supplies, and dare I say, a large smidgen of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've also got big societal problems in that we do not have any immunity. There's kids running around in South Africa with tapeworms inside them. That'd probably kill us if we got a parasite like that. Our resistance to antibiotics generally, all the other things, when you add them up, a simple infection that we can cure with a few tablets today is going to be a killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at one point, at one of the meetings that John attends, there's a doctor there, and he says, we are now facing third world problems, etc. And he mentions all of the diseases that Brian's already mentioned, and he says, look, he says, this is just the die-off now. We've still got the worst to come. And aside from that, you've also got all the stupidity deaths as well. People hacking arms off with chainsaws accidentally because they don't know how to use them properly, putting spades through the sides of the legs and things like that because it's glanced off a stone, all that kind of thing. And it's we can sit and laugh at it now, but in that situation, that's a real problem because it goes back to the point where, like, John only had a small cut on the inside of his hand.
It nearly killed him.
Yeah.
And that nearly killed him.
Yeah.
You've got all the other problems associated with the stupid factor as well.
Yeah. And it's not always stupid factor, right? We're all human. Accidents happen to everyone,
To some more than others, though.
Yeah, I'm going to have no arm with a chainsaw and a spade sticking out my leg, and both of them will be on fire. Yes, I know.
It's a miracle you're still alive, Mike.
I know.
The Lord watches over you.
Somebody is looking after me, definitely. Yeah, so I mean, there's not really much more we could say about that. We have the total seizure of private food. Well, it's not a total seizure.
I like this.
It's a conditional seizure, which you don't see in any others. It's either one extreme or the other. So I'll be interested in your takes on this, because to explain it to the people that, are still watching, even though they've not read the book and are happy with spoilers for 120 minutes. It's they say, if you want to be involved in rationing, you have to submit to having your house checked and all your food kind of taken off you, sort of thing. However, if you just want to keep what you've got and fend for yourself, that's fine, but don't come down and get rations. And they base it around ration cards.
Yeah.
What's our thoughts on that? Because it was an interesting take. It was almost like, let's seize all the food. Hang on, no, you'll piss off the preppers. Okay, let's best not seize all the food. That's what it feels like.
I think if you even said you were going to seize all the food, you'll never seize all the food, because people, especially in that community, the prepared ones will have had it stashed. But if you did try and seize it, you're probably going to have a shooting session going on, right? There will be conflict. So you're stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea. So the people that have got the most, that are willing to fight for it and defend it, they're not going to be a drain on you anyway. So allowing you to keep some of it and perhaps keep them on side further down the line to help you out, maybe the lesser of the two evils.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any thoughts?
I thought it was quite... Go on, Barry. Go on.
No, go on. After you, John.
Thank you. I thought in the scenario of the book, it was a very diplomatic solution. Don't ask for a ration card if you don't need one. But if you do ask for a ration card, you got to let us search your house. That it was sort of a don't ask, don't tell. Yeah. And to avoid exactly what Brian said, a shooting match at the front porch where you got, Hillbilly Jones and his 5 kids, you basically, Mike, fighting the authorities.
He's been part of the panel for 2 minutes and he's already on the
He's learning well.
Quick learner me. No, but yeah, so it's it was a good solution. It was a compromise.
Yeah,
it was pretty diplomatic because you've got they have the family that live in the hills that they know are preppers as well, and they're debating whether to go and raid their place for the food. And then this is how the idea of the ration cards and everything all comes about. But they're also looking at the the farms on the outer skirts of towns, where what are we going to do about the livestock? Because we need to be killing some of it, but we also need to be keeping breeding stock so we get us through into next year. So already they're starting to plan now. They know this is in for the long term. They just don't know how long. So they're already forward planning. And I thought that was a good point that they raised in it as well.
Which is great if you've got that tight-knit community and you can enforce that.
Yeah.
Here, I think you would have people that haven't got a clue about meat trying to kill local farmers' sheep and picture the scene from Dances with Wolves after the hunters come through,
buffaloes,
skin all the buffalo and just leave the carcasses.
They mention that in the book. Yeah.
I mean, but if you've seen the film as well, Dances with Wolves, it's a poignant scene as well, and that's what I see over here. People attempting. Scotland has an abundance of deer, almost like an epidemic at the moment. But it won't take long for people to mess all them up and waste the loads of meat.
Yeah.
I laugh, though, ironically, that a lot of people you hear, the first sign of something going wrong, their plan legit is to drag dear old granny and the kids with their backpacks on out into the fucking forest, and they're going to overnight become the Amish family, building barns with a 3-day supply of food, swinging axes, become immediately super fit and tabbing through the forest, not slipping and breaking a leg, not shitting their brains out within a couple of days. It's just nonsense. And that applies to up here. It's fucking cold, 24/7, pissing down most of the year. It ain't a lifestyle choice.
Can I caveat that with, if you do that now in peace times and build up a community like that, Amish style, that's your best bet. You've got that safety net. Don't try and learn that in SHTF. I think doing surviving in that way, I think, is a good way to survive. But Joe Bloggs, who has lived all his life in a city, is not going to.
But not learning on the job. Yeah.
And not with
practicing what you've done.
Temu's finest gear.
I was quite surprised with Temu's finest gear. I've got to be honest, it worked out better than I thought.
It still wasn't a very waterproof jacket, though, was it?
Not in a red weather warning on an island in the middle of a loch in December. No, it wasn't. No.
Yeah.
You need scuba gear, mate. Scuba gear.
But I think what you're saying is exactly right. And the amount of times I hear people that are not even preppers, that are not survivalists, that are not outdoorsmen, go, "Oh yeah, if we're in nuclear war, I'm just going to go and live in the Highlands." Okay. I mean,
good luck with that.
The is it the M74, A74M or whatever it is? That is going to be
M74 up towards Glasgow. Then you'll be in the M9 to Stirling.
Yeah, corpses. Then
the A9, which will be from Perth up towards Inverness, which is
made it that far. They've done well.
Yeah, but the further up past there you go, there's nothing. There's nothing there. It's like hills, trees, and nervous sheep.
Yeah, heather, nothing.
Wild.
You're assuming they haven't barricaded the M74 at Gretna Green.
Well, yeah. Keep your lot that side of the border.
I'll just go as a mute and push the Scottish missus ahead.
Anyway, I'll be all right because I've reared my own animals.
Oh, fair play.
Oh,
fair play.
Pigs and sheep.
That was 7 minutes before slaughter. That's lamb chops now.
It was delicious.
Sorry, let's just take it back to cold reality. No,
I think that's a good point. Is that for me, one of the takeaways I had is to what you're going to do after your prep's run out. I thought I had a year's worth of food. I used your really useful planner, Mike, based on calories. I've got 235 days worth of food. So I've learned something already.
still a good amount, but it's still a significant drop off to
I
what
thought I had a
thought.
year's worth. So my planning is now get a year's worth. I've got husbandry skills. I've taught myself how to grow vegetables, spent 5 years growing vegetables and learning each year how to make it better. I've got a seed bank. I'm thinking now as a prepper, what do I need to put in place for after the food runs out?
Yeah, and you've got to think of that as a timeline as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you should be planting and thinking about that in week 1. This is never even brought up until later in the book, right? And as far as I'm concerned, they left that way too late. As soon as you're starting to think about growing extra food and doing stuff like that, you're starting to look at the weather conditions changing, right?
Do you not think, though, they were overwhelmed with all the things they had to do? They were very much living in the moment to survive without a lot of time to, because they were learning on the job, more or less, without being able to do forward planning for seasonal growth. They were too busy trying to get some sort of community and plan up in place at short notice. Then, when they got things settled down, they had time to try and plan. And you're right, they were late to the game, but I think that was necessity rather than bad planning.
And they had external threats from the village one way and the village the other way.
Yeah. The village people.
The village down and the city the other side or something.
I think it was the city was pushing people on it.
Yeah.
But they had control of that water supply, right? There's all sorts of politics. I mean, we won't go into the politics side of it. We could literally be here all night talking about it, but there was a whole political thing with the neighboring town and stuff like that. I mean, we will mention that, though. He did go to the neighboring town.
Yeah.
And that's where we see the risk of driving a car into places like this.
The bridge incidents, yes.
Yeah. So go on then, Barry. Tell us the bridge incident.
Yeah, so they want to go and have a meeting with the mayor of the next town. And so a bunch of them go in the working car, and they get stopped on the outer of the town limits by a couple of cops. One's not very professional, let's just say. The other one is. And there's a little altercation, and they do end up sending somebody into the town to negotiate, which doesn't fare well.
That's when they find out about the forced migration that they're going to have.
That's it, yeah. I know, yeah, that's where it comes into play, that they're expected to take. There's no request. They're basically told, you're going to get 5,000 refugees. We're sending them to you in 2 days' time. And then it's like, right, we need to get back to the town. We need to tell the town council. We need to be planning for this. And yeah, take it from there.
Which you're already at the point where you're on 800 to 1,000 calories a day per person at that stage. And then to then spread that out another 50%, it's just not going to work.
It's just going to kill everybody. But what a horrible dilemma to be faced with. You're essentially going to be sent 5,000 people that all you're going to do is send them further down because you've got nothing for them. You basically send them down the train tracks to their death.
Give them some water at the end, though, to wash. I mean, it was good. It was a good idea, that. So one of the things that they did, I think you mentioned towards the start of this conversation, was they're filing people across, John, right? From one side of this main road to the other, from one end to the other. Not just by gunpoint, but by incentive. There is clean water, and you can wash. Your kids can have a wash, and all this lot.
Yeah, they'd set up a checkpoint at a bottleneck in the road where there was a cliff on both sides. So the only way into the town, into the village, was along this one road. And I liked how he described that they were using cars as sort of a mobile barrier, so they could move the barrier backwards and forwards. That was quite a good idea. And then they were basically saying, you're not staying, but we'll let you through. You've got to put your weapons in this amnesty box, and you'll get them back at the other side. And at the other side, you can have some water and a bowl of greasy soup or something. There was some incentive for them to go to the other side of the village, and they were armed escort the entire way. And then later on, they start to be a bit more discerning by finding out if people have got skills or not.
Yeah.
And a good point on that was the illusion of authority. Do you remember how they portrayed the illusion of authority on that bridge.
Yeah, they
Brian?
had hazmat suits on
suits.
and
Yeah.
masks. Yeah, respirators.
Which does, like, people. It was another one of those psychological aspects, right? It's the whole premise of you can get anywhere with a high vis and a ladder and a hard hat, right? You can walk into any part of any building.
They clearly
that is
haven't
also
walked
really
more than
worrying.
100 yards.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Brian.
They'll be
Go on, Brian.
sweating. No, it's okay. On you go, crack on.
Yeah, they clearly never walked more than 100 yards in a hazmat suit and a respirator, especially in the summer, because it's a killer.
It depends on your definition of a hazmat suit, though, right? If it's the thin, cheap paper versions instead of a full-on rubber hazmat suit, then yeah, it's the illusion, but without the sweat.
Mm.
But it wasn't just for authority; it was for disease, cholera, everything like that.
Mm.
They'd finally got this town to the point where who's dying off is going to be dying off, and they don't want to bring any more in because these people are migrating from a city that would be like, it would be like that care home, but on a city scale, right?
Yeah.
It's literally nature in a very short space of time. I mean, in that scenario, it was a really short space of time, separating the wheat from the chaff. Literally, the elderly and the young were dying off wholesale of preventable conditions in modern society, and there's nothing anybody could do about it. Nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry, just replying to somebody in the chat. Let's jump ahead because we're an hour and a half in and we're
Okay.
about 2 chapters in. Who wants to introduce the posse? The marauders, the reapers, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Oh, that bunch, yes.
Who wants to introduce them? At 2 months in, we're already looking at a cannibalized, religious, nutty, organized, possibly military trained force coming towards the town. Brian, tell us what's happening.
So, as you've got the good guys being organized and try to structure society with some semblance of rule of law and looking after people, you've got the alternative of the yin and yang arrangement. You've got a nucleus of psychopathic Mad Max era nutters acting like locusts moving around, eating, killing and pumping anything they like because there's nobody to stop them, and they're not looking to grow or maintain a society or a population base. They're just looking to take whatever they want and move on. And that's not an unrealistic scenario of what would happen either, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I see what I take from that. The part that from the book, I don't take like there's going to be marauding cannibals going around and stuff like that. But what I do take from that is I live in an area where there's already organized gangs.
Yes.
There's already organized communities that are used to traveling around.
Yeah.
So there's already this potential foundation for threats like that.
But that's nature's way. That's how we're wired, though, Mike. Because if you're in an urban population centre and rule of law, and you're going to school, and you're getting the shit kicked out every day, but people in this gang are not getting the shit kicked out of them every day, but you've got to do some dodgy shit, robbing, different things. For self-preservation, kids are joining a gang. Now, for self-preservation, people in the book are joining up with John Matheson and the town militia. But for self-preservation, people in gangs at marauding, it's the same thing. It's for the illusion of security.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about the book.
If that passes through your little hamlet of 3 or 4 things, and it's either be essayed, killed, and you know, all that lot, or join them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's a forced decision, right?
Yep.
How realistic, John?
How realistic there'll be gangs marauding around trying to take all your stuff?
And cannibals and all that lot.
All right. So, cannibals, if you look at the evidence, when people are starving to death, they will eat other people. There was an Argentinian rugby team crashed in the Andes in the 70s, I think it was, or 80s. There's a film about it.
There's
They
two,
got to
there's Alive, and then there's the
That's it,
Society
Alive,
of
yeah.
Small. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they started to eat the already dead people, obviously, who died in the crash. But, it's not unprecedented. Do I see it happening in the UK? If it really got that bad, it might happen. I don't think the UK population is as susceptible to extreme religion. But you made a point earlier, Mike, about there are already gangs out there, and there are already gangs who travel around quite a lot and already rob people. I'll say no more than that. So the basis is there, the nucleus is there for them to attract the right or wrong sort of people.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the cannibal side, it's the locust side, right? It's the
and it's forcing numbers. It doesn't matter how many methods I have to defend myself. If there's 50 people attacking my house, I'm going to die.
Or bug out first.
First, but you know what I mean. If it's last stand, they're going to win.
Yeah. Which
note.
Brings us to the militia, which is now suddenly, after 2 months, practically special forces. Special force kids. I mean, it's a good job it's set in the United States, right? Because we managed to arm 2 full regiments of a militia inside a college. I mean, I don't think you could do that on average with the local town in the UK. You might be lucky to get a couple of shotguns and a pitchfork and an old Enfield musket.
Yeah, to be fair, some of them did have what they call flintlock rifles from the reenactment group.
Yep, some of them did, yeah. So at one point, it's later on, but at one point, some of the reenactors, like we're talking about skill sets, had managed to get some saltpeter and stuff like that and other ingredients that I won't mention altogether at the same time and make black powder.
Yeah.
Albeit quite unstable, I have no doubt. But yeah, and we have this battle on the bridge. Yeah. We have this whole fight go on where John Matheson's study of history, blah, 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 tactical genius, as it were, saves the day to much expense. And then we see another really, what I want to talk about on this bit is that it's a really kind of flashbacks to old Vietnam films and stuff like that, with the triaging of the students as they're picking over the wounded after it. And it's a 1, 2, 3 system.
That's still in force now, Mike.
Yeah. No, I have no doubt.
We have a special pouch in our Coast Guard first aid kit, and it's literally got little magnetic wristbands, and you slap it on the wrist, whether they're 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, you're ahead of us. We've still got the old paper tags with elastic bands on. So
it just says fuck on it.
If it's a special one,
there's a special one that says for Brian.
Oh no! What's this? Abby Normal? That's not my name.
Why have you given me a 3? I wasn't even in the fight.
All that Pepsi's catching up with you, boy.
There, it'll all be all right, Brian. 3 means you're very important.
The topic of this that pulls it to what we think about with prepping has got to be the medical side of things, right? So we've all got medical preps. We've all got something in there. And no matter how big your little cupboard is, your boxes, your tote is, and stuff like that, how long do we think that's going to last? And how long before we are reverting to bite down on this stick while I take this hacksaw to your shin?
Some foreplay you've got going on there, Mike. I'm not interested.
Don't tell me you weren't tempted.
Well, in a certain light, I'll think about it.
No, but seriously, the medicine's going to take a massive back step, right? And it's one of those things. I mean, I think you could over prep a lot of things, but I don't think medical is one of them.
No.
And we're
I think
even more of a
people-
disadvantage with the antibiotic situation over here for most people.
The sheer volume of kit that you go through to treat one moderate injury. I mean,
Mhm.
you see these little first aid pouches of that size with like a little bandage on it and a little triangular bandage and some wipes and all the rest of it. If you've got somebody that's got a major bleed, that's fucking worthless. I mean, it's absolutely worthless.
You pay 30 quid for a really good, 35 quid for a good IFAC, one wound, and that is an empty kit
Yeah, it's toast.
and a spare pair of scissors.
Mhm. And-
And then the things like tourniquets, which a lot of preppers have, tourniquets are applied to get somebody then to medical aid.
Roll
Right.
one hospital, yeah.
What about when that's not there? Do you still try and apply a tourniquet and what? Let them suffer for longer? So many questions when it comes to the medical side of this, when you actually see, obviously on paper, the cold reality of the situation.
And what if the medic goes down? My point of contention is in here. So, wife's a nurse, oldest daughter's a nurse, youngest daughter's nearly finished training to be a nurse. Not one of them are interested in doing first aid in the home. That's your thing. That's your interest. It's like, you just want to come in the FREC 3 course or me? No, that's not. If I get cut around, they'll come to you. Yeah, but what if I get cut? That's the selfishness. Is if I get caught, I'm fucked, basically. That's the problem. So if you, in your small group of preppers or who the people you're responsible for, if you're the only one that is got a slight inkling or slight training on how to save somebody's life and nobody else is interested, if you get the cut in the hand first in sepsis, what happens to the rest of the group?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we've always said that the more skills the better and stuff like that, but and obviously a library of books is always helpful. You don't want to be learning on the job, but it's still better than nothing.
Did you notice in the book though that like 1 second after, and the reason that I went on with that little mini rant, what they did, people that had skills, they had somebody shadowing them. So they if somebody was a nurse or a vet or a veterinary nurse, they'd one of the younger kids assisting them in and amongst their other duties of helping gather food, cut wood and all the rest of it. But they were very conscious of the fact that one is none and that you had to have a shadow and transfer those skills over. And they did that very early doors. I really liked that.
Yeah, they had an abundance of students that were there that could learn as well. So it's always a plus. The willingness to learn is the problem in peace times, though, Brian. Like you say, if no one's willing to learn, you're left to be the only one that can do it. So
yeah.
But the actual medical supplies, John, did it make you think? You said obviously you went and used the app and the spreadsheet thing that I made and counted your food up. What about when it comes to medical supplies? Because things like this, when you actually think of what's needed, I mean, and this is only, we talk about what's needed. You can say, right, well, I've got a bandage. That's one wound. It might not be. You might end up tearing through 3, 4, 5, panicking, trying to stop blooding, trying to clot, stuff like that. It's very quick to go through even one of the big first aid kit books like I've gone through quite a bit of stuff in there with a very simple injury.
Yeah, I first of all, I think the most important thing to say is to get the skills, at least do a first aid St. John's ambulance type thing. I can't remember what level it is, but as a Coast Guard, you're sort of a critical care. You learn how to apply tourniquets and do the AD and all that sort of thing. So I have the skills. So do my fiance. She's in the Coast Guard as well. So I've got someone to look after me. Brian, I've got that covered. My medical supplies, I keep enough over-the-counter medicine for at least 5. I think my furthest date one, if you like, on my sort of paracetamol, aspirin, brufen is 2030, so 4.5, 5 years, which I rotate them round.
But it doesn't go. It doesn't instantly. People should realize it doesn't instantly stop working.
No,
it deteriorates. You might have to take it
deteriorates over time. Yeah. There's a very good study done by the U.S. Department of Defense on that, which you can read online. I also, in terms of proper trauma, like having to apply a tourniquet type trauma, I've probably got enough supplies for 3 or 4 events, 3 or 4 instances of that happening. I hope that never happens.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
you know, I bulk buy my medical supplies from sort of B&M and all the, you know, places where you can buy them in boxes of 100, and I just store them all in a big plastic box. So I've got backups if I have to use my first aid kits.
So that question to you then, John, comes a time, you know, touch wood, God forbid, you have to use a tourniquet.
Yeah.
Are you going to use it knowing there's no secondary care for that person?
Absolutely, because you can survive if you lose your arm just above the elbow, or if you lose any of this lower arm, you put the tourniquet just above the elbow. Someone can survive if you've got the right equipment to stop the bleeding and prevent infection. It's not going to be pretty.
No.
I have a limited amount of antibiotics if it did get infected, but I'm not just going to let them. I'm just not just going to stand there over them and watch them bleed out because there's no hospital to take them to. I would try and save them. I'd get the tourniquet on. I'd get the covering on whatever the wound was. Yeah, they might get a hacksaw to their lower arm, but that's better than being dead.
Yeah. It'd take a few paracetamols to smart that pain for over-the-counter stuff. Yeah. Anything to add on?
As we've seen in the old cowboy films, give them a bottle of whiskey and then cut it off. It's not great. Let's not pretend this is a good situation to be in.
Yeah. And alcohol thins the blood as well, so just be careful with that one.
Yes.
Anything to add on the medical front, Barry or Brian? Or
I don't think you can have too many medical preps. Simple as. And the reason I say that is because obviously my real world job is dealing with the ambulance service and the aftermath of jobs that they go out to on a daily basis 24/7. And I've seen the amount of mess created from just one incident, one person, all the way up to multiple vehicles going into a job and having to be attended by multiple doctors, multiple paramedics, helimed, all that kind of stuff. The amount of stuff that gets used, think of it and then double it and double it again, because that's how bad it can get. So in my opinion, you can never have too many medical supplies, whether that's blood consumables as in bandages or medicines.
The blood aspect of any sort of major injury has been understated on every Hollywood movie since Zulu, when it was a blotch of red paint.
Yeah,
it's gonna pump. It will pump and pump and pump and spray over distance, and when the heart stops pumping, it will just pour.
Oh, I thought we were talking about you there, and then we're on about
pumping means a different thing in Scotland. Yeah, I know.
I've dealt with casualties from a car accident, and one of the guys smashed his legs up, and his femoral artery was arcing over the road.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I literally got hold of the femoral artery in his smashed leg, and I pinched it together and just waited for someone to turn up and put a clamp on it.
That's gnarly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when I put my head back, it gets worse. When I put my hand behind his head to sort of comfort him, my hand went, and I went, oh, and I sort of took it out again.
Yeah.
Because all his back of his head was smashed in.
Oh.
So
did they make it?
Yes, he walked. He got helimedded. This is in America. He got helimedded out to Modesto Hospital in California, and he walked 2 years later. He had 18 plates in his left leg and 22 plates in his right leg.
Wow. Fair play, mate. You saved his life.
The benefits of aftercare. There you go. Yeah. But that's definitely that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. But
it's gruesome.
But it emphasizes the point. It emphasizes the point. If you've got, your $9.99 first aid kit from Amazon, and you think that's going to do you, you've got a year's worth of food, but 10 days worth of medical supplies, then there's a priority thing there. I've done a medical count today. I've gone through all my stuff, and I always thought I had quite an abundance, but it gets used, believe it or not, with my accidents and other people's accidents.
Really?
It never does. Wow, I'm
It
shocked.
It gets used, and it's gone down quite a lot. Yeah, well, it's gone down quite a lot, and right now I'd be at a point it's dangerous. If something happened now, I'd be very short on medical supplies. You know, I'd be all right for a couple of traumas, but you know, not for long term. So it quickly goes down. And okay, we've done with the gruesome side of things. So yeah, big battle. A load of more people die, which is great because it means more rations for other people. Nice plate of bear meat. Let's put a big bulk together. 3 to 12 months, because we are getting late on here. We'll briefly mention pets, Barry, because people not only underprepare for themselves a lot of the time, even people that do prepare might have 90 days worth of supplies and 2 weeks worth of cat food.
Yeah.
So pets very quickly become less priority, and dogs can start to go feral and stuff. So that's addressed in the book.
Yes.
Could you see a better way than what was done in the book? That's probably the only thing I'd say. I mean, it's a difficult one. It's bulky, isn't it? Dog food's bulky. So
yeah, dog food's bulky. I mean, as you say, there comes a time when even your supplies for your dogs, etc., will run out, and you say they go down this road where, like John Matheson's 2 dogs, they usually get fed from the side of the table, like most dog owners would do. You know, they sneak them a bit of chicken, that kind of thing. But of course, that chicken now is going down everybody else's necks, etc. And it gets to the point where even the animals, as you say, are starting to go feral. So they decide, right, okay, we need to be doing something about this. All strays will be rounded up, etc. And they basically eye that as another protein source.
Well, first they say we're going to have to get everyone's pet and kill them. Yeah. And it was immediately protested, and I see why. I think most pet owners would agree. You would,
absolutely
come and try.
yeah, precisely. And I think they deal with it in a very well thought through manner, because obviously man's best friend, etc.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one to.
It is a tough one because it's the grim reality. The only thing I'd take away from it is, again, prep for the same amount of time. If you think this is how much I need, they ain't gonna need the same thing. So that's what I would say. I very much doubt there's anything official plans wise, John, for the contingency of animals or animal control.
Not that I know of.
No. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. It's probably the second thought to a lot of people. With that, as we go into that period as well, Brian, we go into winter, or as well as the second winter, kind of essentially. No heating oil, electricity would become the primary currency. Pneumonia becomes another big killer and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know how old the book is, but were you surprised to not see more solar, like even portable solar, old school generators, stuff like that in there?
I'm not sure. Excuse me. I'm not sure how old the book is, but
I'm just looking now.
2009.
Yeah,
right.
We had power banks.
No, we didn't. I mean, power banks have only been a thing for 5 years.
Really?
Really. When I built the camper van, and finished it 4 years ago, there wasn't even an option. It had just become an option. Blue Yeti and Jackery had brought out some, then EcoFlow within a couple of months. But large scale, cheap battery storage, all self-contained units like that, it's only in the last 5-6 years. And solar only really became mainstream with the feed-in tariff in the UK about 15 years ago. I mean, you had it small scale.
So how different do you see this whole scenario if it was played out now with the technology we've got now? How different is it?
You would have more options, but your problem would be the the winter problem again. Solar, battery storage. If you have got land and you've got some foresight, then you could basically cover up non-arable land with solar panels, over panel them to the extent that it would meet your needs year round with sufficient battery storage. If you don't have that, then you're looking at supplemental charging with generators and different things, but it would certainly enhance the year-round proposition and viability of prepping and surviving. By a whole, it would be an entirely different proposition for what they're facing, put it that way, because power gives you potentially mechanical advantage, which frees up time to do other tasks. That's what industrialization's only ever done. It freed you up time to do other tasks. So that would bring back that.
Cool. Where's my notes gone?
Yeah, the first solar array I put up for my shed up on the Isle of Skye was 9 years ago, and that was literally one solar panel and a car battery. So power banks haven't been around for that long.
Yeah.
Yes, a recent thing.
My granddad used to hook car batteries up to everything. I don't know how he charged them, but he used to hook car batteries up to all sorts.
We don't want to hear about your private time with your granddad.
Wow. There's a line, John.
The line's a dot.
I'm so far over the line, I can't even see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an open forum now. I've gone through the basic timeline, and we get to like a year in the book, and we're at 80% reduction in the population, which is a milder figure compared to what you said, kind of, Brian, a bit. But they had a good community, essentially a good starting point from there.
Where they are, I think they had a better chance of survival from the get-go because they had geography to play with. They had more chance of sustainable living than most. For most of us in the UK, we would face a much harsher proposition than that.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got the reservoir, they've got all the woods and everything around them, etc. as well, haven't they? They've got
land,
to the farms, the land and everything. So yeah, they've definitely got an advantage.
Right. Okay. We've read you the entire book. You don't need to hear anymore. Right, Brian. I've got lots to say on this matter, but what difference did this make to your prepping, if anything?
I consider that book to be a must-read for all preppers as an exercise in human nature under stress, human nature and catastrophe, a blueprint for societal reconstruction, and a roadmap of how quickly society will devolve. I don't see, although it's American-centric with all the different peculiarities of our friends in the States versus us here, human nature doesn't really change that much. And fundamentally, it would mostly happen like that here. I don't see much in the book that I disagree with, in fairness. No, I think it's a roadmap to a disaster that could happen to any country.
Yeah.
For as far as it changed me, I spent a substantial amount of money on power. 30 grand plus.
Yeah.
Within 5 years.
Wow. There you go. Did you read the book before all that?
Yep.
Yeah. And do you think it helps that decision?
I think it reinforces, to me anyway, it rubber stamps human nature and how quickly the veneer of civility drops. And we're back to fighting hand to mouth to survive.
Yeah.
And that'll always be easier in community rather than the lone wolf. So whilst everybody might think they've got the 3-day backpack and they'll be Johnny Rambo and they'll be building barns and that sort of shit. The reality is you've got to sleep. You could cut your hand and an infection would get you. You could slip and break your neck. You could slip and get hurt and get eaten by an animal or another person. But one is none. If you're looking to survive, I fundamentally believe community would be better.
Yeah.
Definitely. Barry, what about for you? Did this have any effects on your prepping or how you thought about things? Or
Yeah, I mean, I went through the book and I highlighted quite a few things that I thought I'd got covered, but I didn't. And enjoyed the book so much that obviously I went and got the others in the series as well. And they're just as good. They bring out other snippets and other topics that maybe we might cover in further, in further videos, etc. But yeah, I've got to agree with what Brian said. It's great as a blueprint. It describes like the pitfalls and everything that sometimes you might miss, like we just touched on the medical supplies and everything when they have the battles, etc. Brian's right. One is none. Get up your preps all the time. Always try and up your preps, little and often. Just keep adding to them. Yeah.
John, you've had a recent read, so you probably of the school of thought of now, if it has had an effect, is that happening at the moment?
No, it definitely has had an effect, and I agree with everything Brian and Barry said about the overall theme of the book, about the psychological aspect of it and the blueprint for rebuilding afterwards. Very useful. What it doesn't give you is actually how to make that steam engine or how to make that whatever. So what I've started doing is I've got my folder anyway of all the stuff I print off. But for example, today I added a diagram for a rocket mass heater. Yeah. I got it.
There's
all.
plans for them on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's already been fried by the EMP, Mike.
Oh, it's not, because you can pay an extra £5 and get a Faraday pouch with it. Boom.
Anyway, so just I'm looking. I've learned to look past my preps. So for when my safety blanket of food runs out, how am I going to make activated charcoal to filter water? I've got a kilogram of calcium carbonate. It's 10 quid a kilo on Amazon. It's perfectly legal to buy. That's just gone in a box. Yeah. So that when my water filters do finally run out, it's easier for me to make activated charcoal. I don't have to think about getting that special chemical made. Getting a mass rocket heater, all the little things that will follow on once things start to turn to normal. I've also increased the amount of prescription meds I keep from a year to 18 months because I'll be screwed.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. I think one thing I've always said as well is, like, as much as I'm not like a hippie alternative therapy person, but if you have got conditions that can be managed with supplementation and diet as well, that should be a massive part of your research, because if that can help you spread what medication you've got, if it can help to keep you alive longer, then it's something you consider. For me, it was the human aspect. So when I first started this channel, I didn't read the book before I started this channel. I didn't read the book before I started prepping. I've always been of that community mindset, right? Without the community, without our awesome Discord, without our awesome UK Prepper Network, I've always had that mindset. So I was prepping to feed the street, the neighborhood, stuff like that, and make meals en masse and stuff like that, which is, the honourable.
That's just to feed the kids.
That's just at that point I only had half the amount I had now. But it's the human aspect of it has made it, in a way, it's made me more. At first, it made me more like selfish. Like now I'm prepping for just me, just my family, and keeping people out and keeping people away. That's developed into what we see in the community, and I would love that to develop onto the next stage of having a community in an actual place. So with a bit of luck. But yeah, it did also reinforce my initial method of prepping, which was 19th century prepping, because I've got that experience with the Civil War. I've got paraffin lanterns, storm lanterns, candles. I've got more candles than I've got batteries and stuff like that. I've always thought of that. If the worst case scenario is, no matter how much technology you've bought or how much stuff you've bought, at some point, if it doesn't come back on, we're going to devolve into the point of that's going to break down, that's going to break down. We're going to be back to that life, whether we like it or not. So prepping in that method. I've actually just posted right now on the public chat in our Discord a Black Mountain survival inventory. Okay. Just a few things that you can take from the book that might make you think about prepping a little differently. Old-fashioned pressure cookers and canning jars for food preservation without power, little things like this. So there's a little list in there that I've just put in there that everyone can have a look at and see what they think.
Did you pick up the mechanical grandfather clock that you looked at?
There was
So
I've got
I'm going to get one of those wind-up clocks that we used to have, the old alarm clock.
Hand cranked and gravity fed water systems, analog medical supplies, basic antibiotics, 19th century farming tools, heirloom seeds, wood burning stoves, crosscut saws and axes, bicycles and horse-drawn carriage hardware, mechanical watches and wind-up clocks, yes, for coordination, and physical maps and reference books for medical, engineering and botanical, and manual sewing machines and heavy-duty thread. So yeah, that is not everything you need and you're going to be prepared. That's just a list of the things you might not have thought about without power that would still work.
Miss Worm brought up a good point, a barometer.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
That's worth adding.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is just a starting point for anybody, but yeah, think of a life without power. I did 48 hours. It was stressful. It was a bit of fun because I knew the power was coming back on. But yeah, after a week, 2 weeks, if ever I become a full-time YouTuber, I'll do it for 2 weeks and we'll see how it goes. But that can't happen while I've got a job, I'm afraid.
You saying that bit about reference books and everything, Mike? There's a section in there where they make a discovery in the library of all the back copies of Mother Earth News.
Yes,
and that sort of got like loads of information in it.
Yeah.
I know you can get copies of those magazines over here as well. So they're full of all sorts of good information.
I mean, I know I jokingly held that up, the Red 64 thing, but people can make these themselves. You don't have to buy it from me. This isn't a sales advert, right? It's got a USB-C point on. An old phone that you'd usually trade in and get next to nothing for, or would end up in the bin, that can go in a Faraday pouch with this, and then you've instantly got, that's just lit up in the bottom there, I've instantly got all them books at a touch, and then you add a power bank onto that, and you've got that library. Doing something like that is great. I like paper books, so I get some, but there's no way I could fit Encyclopedia Britannica and every single National Geographic ever made on them shelves. It's just not going to happen. So practically wise, something like that, or set up your own, get an external hard drive, get a cheap hard drive and just fill it up yourself. There's ways of doing it, but knowledge is going to be power. Definitely.
Have any of the panel got is it Foxfire books?
What's that?
Foxfire
books. Has anyone got those?
No, they're quite expensive.
Heard that. There's a set of books that is apparently very good about 19th century living.
All right,
Firefox.
Yeah, Foxfire.
I'll need to look for that. Foxfire. Okay.
Apparently they're really good. It's like 12 or 14 books. I mean, it's 160 quid for the set. I was thinking of getting them, but I was just wondering if anyone else had them.
Yeah,
you could buy an Anker C300 for that. We're talking power bank money there.
But you won't know what to make with your power bank.
But you just hit them in the head with the really sturdy power bank and then take the books.
50th anniversary complete collection, 17 books, Foxfire, £245.
Yeah, you can get for 160.
No, you can't. You can get them for £245 and use my affiliate link in the chat.
I knew that was coming.
This is the 50th. This is the 50th anniversary special edition. All right.
Are you going to sign it? Are you going to sign every one of them?
I'll sign whatever you want. I mean, my signature's worth naff all. I've got the handwriting of a 7-year-old child. So if you'd like me to sign a book, I'm happy to do so. It'll be different on every single one. Have we got anything else to add on this? We've gone for 2 hours, 10 minutes. So thank you very much for being with me for that long. It's
but it's an interesting subject. Sorry, go.
Sorry, Brian. My last comment is I'm going to buy a couple of packets of cigarettes and just stick them in my box. I don't even smoke.
It's a great one, but I haven't got the discipline to do that. I was a 40-a-day smoker, so I haven't got the discipline for that. But if you're going to do that, and if that's genuinely a bar to people are thinking about, do yourself a favor. Don't buy cigarettes. Buy 50-gram pouches of tobacco. Yeah. It's worth a lot more. You can break it down into denominations. You can sell it in weights. You can do whatever you want with it.
How long does it last for?
It lasts. You can put a oxygen absorber and put it sealed. It will last pretty much forever. You know, most smokers, when they're desperate for a cigarette, will smoke dried up camel shit, so it makes no difference.
They'll smoke the Mylar bag it's in.
But I mean,
I see that as a really good way of diffusing tension. If you come across someone, oh, do you want a cigarette?
Yeah, definitely. You see
that happens in the book a few times. Yeah.
You see that in the book, even when he's at the point he's rationing it, it's a stressful situation. He's taking one and throwing one to his friend like twice in a row during one conversation. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Polonium, but if you're going on holiday anytime soon,
50 grams is 45 quid. Jeez, oh.
Yeah.
Buy the calcium carbonate. It's 10 quid for.
Not at my local European food shop. Might be the odd stick in it, but you know. Don't condone any of that. Anyway, yeah. Anything to add, Barry?
No, mate. I think we've covered all of that first book. So there we go.
So only about 10 more to go. You've got them all there, haven't you? Show everyone the sequels then. There you go. Why did they make one of them 3 times the size? Or is that your eyesight deteriorated?
No. The big one actually came from the USA. The smaller ones I got over here. So yeah.
Oh, everything's bigger in the USA. I see. That's what it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's just both on my head. Put a magnifying glass with the manuals.
Yeah,
good point.
Some of the writing is very small.
Yeah, got one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've said this as a prep before. I've got a tub full of magnifying glasses in here. I'm not going to dig out, but you go to the pound shops and the cheap shops, and you can get them glasses that are like plus 0.5, plus 0.1, plus 1.5. Go there, spend a tenner, buy them all, even if you've got 20/20 vision right now. Because in a year's time, you don't know. In 2 years' time, you don't know. In 3 years' time, you don't know. That will take up this much space in your medical preps, and your eyesight's going to be covered for a long time. So, yeah, it's a prep worth having. You know, then you're not going to be able to get any sort of special prescription, but it's going to help a little bit. You know, so you could roughly see the target you're aiming at.
Plus, you can trade those glasses.
Yeah.
I mean, see how for £1 that you've maybe stocked up on a pair of glasses, 10 quid, 20 quid, you stock up on a few of them. What value do you put in that shit as a fan when you can't see for shit, but somebody's going to trade you glasses that cost them essentially nothing that they don't need? Mm-hmm. That's a valuable prep.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's these little things that people don't think about because they're prepping for this guy right here, right now. They're not prepping for back problems in a year's time. They're not prepping for eyesight issues. They're not prepping for anything like that. We are human. We deteriorate, unfortunately. So, yeah, worth thinking about. Yeah. Brian, anything else?
No, I'm all good.
Yeah. Oh, he's just dying to get to the toilet. He gets to 2 hours and he's like, he's drank 27 Pepsis.
There's a few empties here, mate. Put it that way. So hurry up. My teeth are floating.
I've run out of gin and tonic, Mike. Come on.
All right. I'll wrap it up. Yeah, whichever channel you're watching on, because this is being streamed to my channel, to Brian Scotch Prep 73, to Barry on Brown Coat Prepper UK. John's not started his channel yet. He will do at some point. He'll give in. Whatever channel you're on, make sure you like, make sure you take the time to go to all the other channels and follow and subscribe all of them. It's really appreciated. We appreciate all the donations that come through and all the support we get on all of our channels. But the best thing you can do for any of us is just to like and share the content and get the word of prepping out there so we've less marauding cannibals to deal with on the road. Okay? That's the main point.
Miss Worm and the mods.
Miss Worm and the mods. Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I will mention them. Any final thoughts from you, John? Sorry, not final thoughts. Any goodbyes? Could you say your goodbyes, please? That's it. There we go. Very articulate. Barry, would you like to say your goodbyes?
Goodbye.
Okay, we're keeping it simple today. Anything more in depth there, Brian? Would you like to say goodbye to the peoples?
I would. It's good to see so many people on a Friday night. It's 2 hours out of their time, and the numbers have been fairly strong across all the channels. So it's good to see them taking an interest in a book that you really should read. I mean, it's all right listening to us drone for 2 hours. Just read the book. It is really worth your time. And thank you for staying on for 2 hours.
Yeah. Brilliant. It's superb. Miss Worm, if she's not already posted the link to the book, she will post the link afterwards. She'll post it on her Discord and my Discord. I have no doubts. All the links for books help support Miss Worm's channel, and she's an awesome chief moderator who keeps everyone in line, and she's superb. So if you want a copy of 1 Second After, please use her link to go and get the book and help support her channel as well. Thank you to Evil Girl, to Tez, to, I believe, even Backins was in there for a short period.
And Mel.
And
Mel was on.
And Mel and John and all the moderators in all of the channels. You're all superb. Thank you very much. And we will see you all probably Sunday. Goodbye.
Laters, guys.
Bye.